Okay guys, so I'm halfway through this Elemav mod. I've just basically decided that's what I'm going to call it. And I've left the rotating mechanism completely stock and intact, and I'm actually leaving the barrels intact for once instead of individualizing them, just because I want it to be really solid and handle this force well. But the rotating is working fine, and I've taken a new piece and epoxied it into place on the trigger so that it will catch on the plunger tube, which I've carved out room for up here, and I'm going to show you that plunger tube in just a second. Okay, so I'm almost done with the plunger system of the Element here that I'm integrating into this Maverick, and a Night Finder would work basically the same way, but what I've done is I've fit it so that the catch fits into the original catch for the Maverick. And this is a piece of PVC that I've sanded into a disc and cut a notch into just so that I could fit it on. And its purpose is going to be to hold this entire system in like that so that the catch will work just like it used to. The only other thing that I've done to this plunger system to fix it is I came in with JB Weld and just locked down the tip of the Maverick to the Element's plunger system so that the whole thing will fit and work a lot like the original used to. The only other mods I've done is I've added my Home Depot spring, and I came in and I added foam padding to the plunger rod and electrical tape to the O-ring to improve the seal. So I'm going to put all this back together and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay guys, so the Night Mav has been sidelined for a while, but I'm finally getting around to finishing it because I couldn't find a way to do the catch the way I was doing it, and that's what those previous segments are trying to do. Instead, I went and got a Night Finder shell, and I cut down the back end of it and epoxy puttied it into place, so I intend to use that Night Finder's original catch. That Hasbro free Night Finder giveaway is really useful. I'm getting a lot of great parts out of it. I went ahead and just for fun, I painted all the pieces silver, and I've got silver barrels that I'm going to be using, and I've got a purple outer shell, which I think turned out nice, and it'll at least make it look as unique as it'll function. The plunger system has a perfect seal with its Teflon tape and O-ring, and it's got a low spring and the Night Finder's stock spring in there now. I did away with the Element spring. So this is going to be put back together, and I'll show you what the internals look like, and then I'll show you how it fires. Okay, so this is the craft foam that I've used to improve the seal on this turret, and that's getting a really nice seal, but the problem was it wasn't rotating right. It would rotate fine on the trigger pull, but it wouldn't finish rotating when the trigger returned, so I came in and I added another spring for my trigger return. So now there's two trigger return springs, and that's functioning very well for rotating these barrels, even though it makes a squeaky sound. This quick segment just shows you how I've seated all the internals back into the shell of this blaster, and it's at this point that I'm really just hoping everything works. Alright guys, so this is the finished Elemav or Night Mav. It's got pieces of all three of those blasters in it. And at this point I've decided that this is a prototype. Since I'm so pleased with how this turned out, I'll be making another one in my Fang colors and with all my detailing, and I'll go all out on it. But this one turned out remarkably nice for what it is. I'm going to show you first that it fires whistlers and sonic micros, taggers, the new taggers, and I've got one more of those. Just remarkably well, and I'm going to go through this clip. Again, it's got a full barrel drop, easy rotation, and this craft foam up here gives it a much better seal. But I prime, and that's getting about 50 feet without any impressive spring. Like, that low spring addition is not a big deal, and that's just incredible for a Maverick. I love the performance I'm getting out of this, and I know that if I put a K26 in here I'll get even better performance. But what's really neat about this is I did the barrels a different way, and I made what I'm going to call hybrid barrels, because they're not brassed and they're not CPVC, but I made the inner diameter exact and I seated it all the way down to the back, which removes all the dead space, which means I can take a streamline dart and push it all the way in, like so. And the streamlines get 60 feet when I use modded streamlines, and that's 60 feet easily. And these are my Steffens, which have fishing weights in them, and then I've got Steffens that have BBs in them. I'm going to fire all 6 of these for you, and the Steffens go even farther than the streamlines. But I love this blaster. So streamline, another streamline, one of my Steffens. Just an overall crazy impressive blaster. I love how it turned out. I'm going to do a write-up description where I'll write in more detail how I did it over at The Grid. And thanks for watching. I love this blaster. I can't wait to make the Mark II.